All right, folks, so we're continuing to track an active tornado warning that is in portions of northeastern North Carolina. Let's get right over to radar right now. Thanks for joining us on our 13 News Now Plus streaming app. We were live on the TV side of things, and we transitioned over to streaming to cover the remainder of this warning that is up for another 11 minutes until 9 o'clock this evening. This is an ongoing warning. This is the second warning as it kind of developed and quickly and moved to the north and east. Right now, it is moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. And the area we're watching is now really kind of become a lot more broad. The overall circulation that was tighter earlier, in fact, we can go back and revisit that and kind of take us back in time, rewind things a little bit, and look at how tight we had this circulation here, right as it was just west of Belvedere. You see those bright yellows and maroons and greens right up alongside the greens. That's some wind shear, wind moving in different speeds and directions with height. And that was indicative of a couplet that could potentially tighten up enough, put down a funnel cloud, and eventually a tornado if it was to reach the ground. And then we watched it kind of move northeast and become a lot broader. That's where we currently are now. There could certainly still be some tighter couplets within this overall broad rotation of the supercell structure. But as of right now, it looks to be much broader in nature. In fact, we can revisit several different tools that we have or filters on our radar site. All right, folks, we're back with the ongoing tornado warning that is up for parts of northeastern North Carolina. All right, folks, we are back this evening for an ongoing update of a tornado warning that's up for portions of northeastern North Carolina. 11 more minutes on this warning. Well, in fact, 9 more minutes now. Chowan, Gates, Pasquotank, and Perquimans. It has not been canceled yet, even though the overall rotation has become much broader. We are still seeing some couplets that are stronger within this, indicated by the brighter shades of orange you see popping on up here. And even though radar is indicating the gusts aren't all that high, they're moving in opposite directions, and we're getting that spin in the atmosphere. So that could certainly consolidate and allow for a tornado to form, which is why that tornado warning is up, again, for just a little while longer until 9 o'clock this evening for portions of Gates, Perquimans, Pasquotank, and portions of Chowan as well. I want to go back here and show you. So this is our current image of where we'd be trying to highlight where there would be some spin. And pretty much we'd probably be looking right around this area south of Kellogg's Fork, where I placed that rotating indicator. If we go back in time just a little bit, back to the south and west, you can see where this couplet was much tighter south of Mittensville. We had the brighter shadings, the higher anomalies, the yellows and the oranges indicated there near Cannon Ferry, right up, butting up against the greens. And that's winds moving in opposing directions next to each other. So we've spin, right? So this was 40 minutes ago. And then we go up here, and you can see it over Mittensville getting much broader. And here we currently are. Well, we have some pockets with some gustier winds, certainly, over here near Hoffler's Fork and Peach and south of Lynch's Corner. 30, 35 miles per hour is indicated by radar. But the ongoing threat here would be the possibility of some consolidation there, indicating a possibility of a tornado. So it is moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. So I want to give you a general feel for where it's going. So we're going to go from this little notch here near Hoffler's Fork and project out to the north and east. Acorn Hill, 3-minute lead time for you, 8:56. No guarantee that there is a tornado in this. This is a radar indicated rotation. Okay, nothing confirmed on the ground. A little harder to do so after the sun has gone down, but it is a radar indication. Wollaston at around 9:32, Bear Quarter at 9:38. So again, this is moving over the state line and moving into southern Virginia. If, in fact, this does hold together. We will see here in just a couple minutes with an update from the National Weather Service on if they think this warrants a continuation or an extension farther to the north and east for folks farther to the north to be impacted by this in the short term. But that's the latest track on it right now, moving northeast at 25 miles per hour. It has been picking up speed. And what we've been watching, as I cut in earlier and I was showing you, this little inflow notch here is always like a precursor to a tightening of an overall circulation. And this has been present for the last 20 minutes or so. So as long as that's there, it's still a little bit concerning to see if we'll have some spin tighten on up. And you can see here, I mean, it is very broad and very ragged now, the overall circulation in there. Belvedere area, Peach, south of Savage, and pretty far south of the state line right now, but it is moving in that general direction to the northeast at 25 miles per hour. But those of you just joining us, again, we are cutting in here to American Idol to let you know about this ongoing tornado warning. We joined you earlier when it was first initialized, and they issued a separate tornado warning. Now this one up until 9 o'clock for another 6 minutes. We're going to stay with it to see how that plays out and if it does get extended into Virginia, and we'll continue with our coverage there as well. But for now, Chowan, Gates, Pasquotank, and Perquimans under this tornado warning, and you are under that warning polygon that you see there flashing on your screen. Not seeing any updates via the Weather Service chat in terms of what they're seeing on their end. But I will tell you, in my opinion, it does look to be much broader than it was just a little while ago. The one area here that may be some very gusty winds would be this one here over north of Belvedere, where you can see the brighter signatures in terms of the wind speeds. These are going to be winds that are pretty much moving due south, southeast out of the storm. They're moving away from the radar site. That's what the red shadings are. And the greens are going to be winds that are moving towards the radar site. The radar site I'm speaking of is up in Wakefield, Virginia. So that's the radar we're using for this type of imagery. And that's where those winds are currently moving. In terms of gusty winds, Kellogg's Fork, 30, 35 miles per hour, nothing really concerning, at least with that. But the overall warning here is just going to last for a couple more minutes until the top of the hour at 8:55. To see if this does get continued or not. We are also concurrently streaming on our 13 News Now Plus app. We'll probably continue coverage again after this warning winds down and we see what the Weather Service will do from here. But we do have this tornado warning up for another 5 minutes. Off to the north, there are a few other storms, and there is no other warnings out there right now. So things really did quiet down after earlier this evening when we had several severe thunderstorm warnings, and then this cell just kind of emerged. You can see it here play out, emerge out of North Carolina, move towards Edenton, and then pop that tornado warning on it that still remains at this time until 9 o'clock this evening. New data coming in from the Weather Service radar here showing that we still do have overall spin, but anything consolidated looks to be really lacking here, and it's a much broader circulation within the storm cell itself. We'll just wait on them to see if we do get an update on that being renewed or not. Plenty of lightning within this. We're looking at a 15-minute time frame, 194 strikes within this one cell. And that has slowly been plateauing or even slowly ticking upwards still. Any time it's plateauing or even moving up, that is an indicator it's at least maintaining or intensifying just a little bit more. So we've got this warning here. Again, if folks are just joining, until 9 o'clock. So we're going to go for another 3 minutes here. Chowan, Gates, and Pasquotank County under a radar-indicated tornado warning. There is nothing here that is confirmed on the ground. And as you saw earlier, we were looking at different filters on our radar to see if we had any ground truth to a tornado potentially being on the ground. And I still do not see one. If we were to kind of, really look at things harder, you could say that this could be here some sort of debris that was lofted because it is coinciding with our actual area here that we're watching. But overall, I don't see much here that indicates that there was something on the ground. There certainly could have been a funnel cloud. There certainly could have been some straight line wind gusts that caused some damage. But as of right now, I don't see any indicator of a tornado being on the ground. Still only getting modest wind speed readings here in the range of 30 to 40 miles per hour. So even the wind gusts are now coming below severe criteria. But this warning will likely just be allowed to expire in 2 minutes. It is a tornado warning that is, the cell itself is approaching the Virginia state line. And even once it does start to weaken, you're looking at some storms, very heavy rain, gusty winds moving into south eastern portions of Suffolk and south Chesapeake as well, eventually moving towards Great Bridge and over towards Deep Creek and those sorts of areas, and eventually towards Fentress as well. But for now, we're all centered on northeastern North Carolina for this ongoing warning here. Not seeing any guidance still coming in from the Weather Service and if they're going to extend this warning by any means. It looks like it will expire in the next minute or so. So we will hold and wait for that. The threats here were quarter-sized hail and the possibility of a tornado, and not seeing any hail signature anymore, just a very broad circulation within the severe thunderstorm cell here that's pretty much parked itself over Mittensville, north of Hertford, Belvedere, near Kellogg's Fork and Hoffler's Fork so far this evening. All right, here's a brand new warning, large-scale warning here So what this is a brand new severe thunderstorm warning that does include this entire Boeing segment of thunderstorms. And this is you see the red shading around it. That is an indicator from the Weather Service that there's a possibility of a tornado in this severe thunderstorm warning. I know it's a little bit confusing. The difference is between a tornado warning and this is that a tornado warning, we already have a couplet identified and the possibilities there that there could be a tornado. And there goes the expiration of that tornado warning. So now what we will do, we will send you back over to programming and we will go back to our 13 News Now Streaming Plus app and continue coverage on the severe thunderstorm warning. If in fact a new tornado warning is issued, you will see us back on the TV side. If you'd like more coverage, I invite you to join us over on 13 News Now Plus. All right, folks, welcome back. We are continuing our coverage of this cluster of now severe thunderstorms that really developed just in the last 45 minutes or so. Things were all quiet after our first round earlier this evening. We did have parts of the cell prompt 2 tornado warnings. Nothing confirmed. They were all radar indicated, but we continue to watch the rest of the segment that now the entire segment from the Albemarle Sound to the Virginia state line is a single consecutive severe thunderstorm warning. Now, what's on this is it looks different from a regular severe thunderstorm warning. That would just have a solid yellow border. This one has a red outline around that border, and that is a tag from the Weather Service saying that, you know, this line did have a tornado warning on it. There's still the possibility of another tornado warning, so this tag means a tornado is possible, although we're not seeing any indications of that being an imminent threat. How do we know? Well, we can look at the line itself and look for couplets. And what a couplet is you have the two different colors on the screen there. Yellow, you have the red, and you have the green. The red is going to be wind that is moving away from our radar site in Wakefield. The green is wind moving towards it. So when we get a couplet, when we have the greens and the reds tightly, brightly wrapped around each other, that's an indicator that we've got winds moving in opposing directions in close proximity to one another, indicating spin in the atmosphere. So that's what we look for. And what we had earlier, I can rewind it and show you what prompted the tornado warning here. You see this? It's right here south of Mittensville, right over Cannon Ferry. That is what prompted the tornado warning. When you have those bright signatures, those bright anomalies kind of shouting out, hey, this is shouldn't be this strong. That's what we had there. We had there about almost an hour ago over Cannon Ferry. And then we kind of pushed to now. And you can see how broad that rotation has become. In terms of gusty winds, we can get some tags on these for some wind speeds, some guesstimates here. Nothing, you know, all below severe criteria right now. So we're not getting any samplings, at least from radar, that would prompt it to be a severe thunderstorm at this moment. But the possibility is there. In fact, we can switch things over. I can barely get Morehead City's radar here, and I can try to prompt some of these numbers, which I can't, but if that's even farther away. So when the radar shoots out, it doesn't just shoot out at a distance, it goes at an angle, an elevation as it gets farther away from the curvature of the Earth. So it gets higher the farther out it goes. So when you're getting a sampling of a storm in this area, unfortunately, you don't have great coverage because you're getting Wakefield's radar and Morehead City's radar shooting up at an angle and hitting the storm at a very high altitude. So you're not getting a true determination of if there's possibly something reaching the ground or not. That's why this area continues to be quite tricky. And even though that couplet, that rotation didn't look overly impressive, with it not having great coverage, it could have been worse than what was showing there. So that's why they maintained the warning all the way up until 9 o'clock this evening. Let's see what they say here. They just expired the tornado warning at 9 o'clock, which was when it was set to expire anyway, and replaced it with a severe thunderstorm warning. And you know what it looks like also, because we were also under a severe thunderstorm watch. Let's see if that has now been disconnected. That was set to expire at 9 o'clock this evening as well. So that was allowed to expire despite still a severe thunderstorm warning that is currently out there right now in northeastern North Carolina. You can see that the orientation of this squall line does indicate that there's probably some gusty winds in here because it's bowing. You can kind of see this segment here, especially bowing. The overall line itself, let's see what they on the warning, it says it's moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. So let's see when it's going to be hitting certain areas. Put a squall line on here. Draw the line, moving northeast at 20. So we've got Parkville at 9:15 tonight. Some gusty winds, downpours, very heavy rain. South Mills at 9:22, Moyoc at 9:52, and Elizabeth City at 9:53 this evening. You're looking at some gusty winds, heavy rainfall, then eventually getting into Virginia Beach, getting towards Creeds at 10:22. So that's still 80 minutes from now. So you got plenty of time to watch that one there. And like this is only set to expire, which let me see, it's set to expire here at 9:30. So we've got 25 minutes on this particular line. My guess is that this will not be extended because we're just not seeing much evidence of there being. Well, this is interesting here. So down in the southern, so I was saying couplets. So it's a poor sampling, but near Hancock, Barber area, Cisco, looks to be some sort of rotation trying to get together there, which is in the same area that we saw the other. You can see it there, maybe getting some winds near 50. So that may be something else to keep an eye on here. This is just north of Edenton. Chowan County, I tell you, has been the hot spot today. So that's an area to keep a little bit of an eye on there. There's the beginning stages of possibly another area of rotation just north of Hancock there. Radar indicates there could be some gusts of nearly 50 miles per hour. So that's going to be something I'm sure Weather Service is already looking at, and that is right in here. So this even could be the beginning stages right here of maybe a little bit of an inflow notch, beginning to be ingested into the storm. We'll see how that progresses there, but that's going to be a place to watch north of Hancock, north of Edenton. That's the southern tier of that line. The northern tier doesn't look as intense. Plenty of rain, plenty of lightning, but no couplets at all. We've got very broad wind gusts there coming generally in from the northwest to the southeast, the orientation of those winds, because they're moving away from our radar site, remember, out in Wakefield. So that's just to the northwest there. I'm not seeing any hail at all. That was, there we go, actually. There is a hail signature out here north of Hancock. So this is going to be the focal point, folks, of if we get another tornado warning on this half-inch diameter hail. Okay, so we'll see what we do with this one here. If, in fact, they do prompt another warning in this area. So it's going to be near the Hancock area north of Edenton. Again, this whole line is moving generally to the northeast. Yeah, we're definitely getting a couplet developing there. That is something to watch. Near Center Hill Highway, Barber, right over there. It looks a little ragged right now, but it is, for that far away from the radar site, that's a pretty pronounced signature. So I would not doubt if we see a warning popping for that one right there. Let's sit and watch it together. But meanwhile, north of the state line, Virginia, a few downpours here and there, very isolated in nature, all well below severe criteria. It's really what's going on in northeastern North Carolina right now that is the problem spot for this evening. So Barber area, Cisco, Edenton, and we're still getting that signature there. Right on top of it being a hail signature too, although the latest run of that doesn't look to be as intense, but we still have that signature right there on it. I'm telling you right here, could be something. Now northeast of Hancock, north of Edenton, headed towards Hertford. So if it is moving generally at the same speed of the line at 20, let's see when it would be getting towards Hertford. 9:31, so you got 20-minute lead time in Hertford. If this does continue to tighten up, which it's looking interesting, we'll see if they have no chatter about this in their in their chat. But we'll see if they throw one out there. Yeah, still pretty pronounced signature there, folks. Right over Barber. Let's see, are we getting any other indicators? That looks a little too dirty here. No, there's certainly turbulence. Oh, what are we doing with shear? Tiny bit of shear indicator there. Hail, yes. Small hail, if anything, reaching the ground, but we definitely do have that. And there we go. It looks like there's probably dual inflow notches here. One right there and one right there. So that's interesting. But this is the area to watch, folks. Paradise Road, north of you there. Barber. Still nothing here. Just have to wait and see if they do it. Yeah, there's definitely, that is looking much more significant now, folks. They're definitely going to put a tornado warning on that, I think. Let's see. Yeah, that is tightening up. But that's what we're watching. That's what I've really got my attention on there, folks. North of Edenton in Chowan County, not too far away from Hertford. We've got a definite indicator here of spin. We've got another couplet showing up here that is definitely looking better. Look, we even go back here a little bit. Up to now, it's looking the best it's looked so far. So that would be the next spot to look for the potential of a tornado warning that would probably include Hertford. So if you're watching from those areas, keep that in mind. You are under a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it. And that tornado possible may certainly be a possibility on that far southern portion of this line. Brand new radar update there. You saw it move a little bit. Let's see if we've got new data. It still looks decent. Still looks very decent. So this is the area. When you see something like that, you have the bright returns right up against each other. That's usually, it's definitely an indicator that there's spin. Is it tight enough to be putting down a potential tornado? Yeah, I think so. Very pronounced. See if they say anything about this. Yeah, folks, we're going to keep an eye on this. Overall, this is under a, there's the stats on this warning. We still got 17 minutes on the initial warning here. Again, this came down from the tornado warning initially. So now we are under a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag on it. And the far southern extent of this line, just north of Edenton, does show rotation. And you can see it there clearly. It's probably too weak right now. But man, when you showed on, it was a little bit stronger earlier. We go back just last run. See, it was a little bit better there. But it's still there. It's still present. So we'll see if it's takes advantage of the environmental conditions around it right now. But again, this warning up until 9:30. We'll stay with it for 16 more minutes to see if we get any changes with that, especially. You notice how it's becoming a little fragmented too. To the north, you can kind of see here, it just doesn't look as ominous from here pretty much north. to the state line. Plenty of lightning there, but that's all residual lightning from earlier. That's just on there from its initial intensity. To the south, you see a whole lot more lightning in this area. In fact, I feel like this is 60 minutes of data. If we go at 15 minutes, we see that number drop to 31 strikes within the window that I'm showing you there. So that's not a ton, but it's still convective, obviously. So see where we go from there. Another check on that. Okay, it looks like it's not as not as strong. See, that's how it looked better there. And then now it's almost like it washed out a little bit. But again, that's not unusual to see it cycle. So we'll see how that works as it moves towards closer to Hertford. I'm guessing it looks too weak from the Weather Service perspective to throw a warning on it. But the line is itself warned, so we do have a severe thunderstorm warning up until 9:30. 15 more minutes on this warning, folks, and we'll stay with it on here. Aside from this, I mean, we've got another little cluster here. This is the far southern extent of it near Plymouth, and this is the area earlier that spotters confirmed a funnel cloud, and I did see other reports of actually a tornado touching down. So there was a tornado warning there. So it looks like there might have been an actual tornado in that one. But to the north, there was plenty of activity over towards the northern neck earlier. Still a residual storm, non-severe. Elsewhere, just a few heavier downpours here and there, but that's really it. It's just this lone severe thunderstorm warning cell with a tag on it of a tornado being a possibility. We saw tornado warnings with this initial line. Now it's kind of become strung out a little bit more, and possibilities there for still another one to develop. Let's take a look at our couplet we were monitoring, and you see it there. This was what it was. Let's just go back. Ready? Yeah, that was looking a lot better right here. See how bright the signatures were? And then the most recent data shows it kind of getting washed out, broadening out a little bit, weaker. And even southwest of Edenton, you see there's another couplet near Black Rock, but that's also very weak. So there's certainly spin in the atmosphere, even though the overall dynamics, the threats today were initially the lowest threat was going to be a tornado. We were in a 2% risk. In fact, let's revisit that if we still have an SPC outlook, which this is the updated one. So they've shifted the threat for severe weather level 2 to the north. So it does still include the peninsulas. And the threat here for a tornado, 2%. And that's not even where we saw the warnings. Saw the warnings to the south. Wind threat, a little higher, 15%, 30% chance of severe criteria wind gusts, 55 to 60 mile per hour winds. And the hail threat was also pronounced, but to the north. You know, most of the hail signatures that we saw were to the south. Still have dew points that are very high. 67-degree dew point out in Suffolk, 65 at Norfolk. So there's still plenty of moisture in the atmosphere, not all that far away from the air temperature. So I do expect there to be some areas of fog tonight, especially in the areas that saw some rain. So that's certainly a possibility for some fog. And especially these areas here that are getting rain right now, and wherever that tracks next will likely lead to some development of fog by tomorrow morning. But that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Burning off pretty quickly as we're expecting a mostly sunny day on your Tuesday. "12 more minutes on this warning here, folks. And overall, it looks like that signature of rotation is not as pronounced, even though we still, when you look at it just on purely on radar, you still have some notches here that indicate some inflow. But also, you're talking just some straight line winds along these bowing segments here. So could they tighten up, be some rotation? Yeah, sure. But it's not looking all that promising, which is good, obviously. Really, just these aren't making much progress at all into southern Virginia. Seeing it kind of staying isolated in and around northeastern North Carolina. Rainfall total so far today, so this goes back several hours, and I mean, look at some of these numbers. Precip accumulation here, 3.5 inches almost north of Mittensville, northwest of Ryland, south of Corapeak, 1.3. But then there are other areas that saw nothing at all, like a good chunk of south side. Most of Suffolk, nothing. Far southeastern portion of the city, right over the Dismal Swamp in Chesapeake, got rain. Up to Deep Creek, maybe a little bit of rain. We still have a little bit more to go, but this is not going to be a huge rainmaker for our area. This is all along. I think I showed you this earlier, how broad this storm. You see this, how big the spin is off to the west out in the Ohio River Valley? It's this big, broad upper level low. The surface low, well to the northeast there, so they are very much tilted. But it's left behind, and it's kind of stuck in the upper level winds that are pretty meridional, meaning that they're very slow to move east to west. And that will create a very unsettled weather pattern closer to the area there in where the center of the storm system is. We are on the periphery of that. So we should be able to scoot out a couple nice days ahead. I think we still have the risk for a few pop-up showers or storms maybe in the afternoon tomorrow, especially with the daytime heating. But it was looking much worse a couple days ago. It was looking very unsettled because that setup of that upper level low is going to be closer. It's farther to the north and west now. So the farther it is away from us, the kind of better we make out with it being a nicer setup of weather for us. Here's still that couplet. I mean, there's still some broad rotation here moving towards Hereford. But notice we've been watching this for 20 minutes and it really hasn't moved. That's how slow these lines are. They say that it's moving at 20 miles per hour, but we had some cells earlier this evening that were moving at 10 miles per hour. So there just wasn't much with it in those areas. So that's what's been going on there. We've got 8 minutes left on this warning. Again, we will stick around with it until it does expire and see what they want to do going forward. It doesn't look to really be strengthening to me. Let's take a look at get the full line in there, and we'll go to lightning. I like to look at the lightning count over 15 minutes or even 30 minutes sometimes to get a trend, to watch it for a little bit, to see if that number of strikes, which right now stands at 38, if that number trends up or if that number trends down. Both of which will tell us the intensity of which it's going. So if that number is going up, it's an intensifying cell. If it's slowly ticking downwards, it's likely past its mature stage and dissipating. So we can keep this up and watch this for a couple of minutes until we get closer to the cancellation of the warning. But right now we're sitting at 38, 39 strikes in 15 minutes. Let's see if it ticks up or down from there. But really the main thread in this line now, that we're not too concerned about that couplet anymore, would just be some gusty winds. And with the slow movement of the line, maybe some heavy rainfall and some low-lying, poor drainage flooding potentially being a problem in some of these spots, the more vulnerable locations. But aside from that, the tornado possible tag on this, that's what the red outline is on here. That is what's kind of came with the warning because it was the result of a tornado warning earlier. So there's the stats on this one. Severe thunderstorm warning, tornado possible tag, 9:30. Camden, Chowan, Gates, Pasquotank, and Perquimans counties. So that's the latest on that one. So our strike count went up to 43 strikes now. And I think most of that's coming from that cell. You can see the stronger end of it. That's pretty much right along the Edenton and southwest of there. That's the strongest part of this line now. And it is building to the north and east, so it will be impacting Edenton likely. But that right now isn't under a warning. In fact, south of there, it was an interesting kind of thing to see earlier. So south of Edenton, right along this line here between Bertie and Edenton and the Albemarle Sound there, that is the boundary between the Morehead City Weather Service office and Wakefield. So their area of responsibility. And earlier this afternoon, we had a tornado warning that was literally on that line. So both offices issued tornado warnings, but for different times, and they were moving at different speeds. So it was interesting to kind of see how that played out with two separate tornado warnings for the same cell. And then one tornado warning was canceled. It was replaced with a severe thunderstorm warning with a tornado possible tag. And I think why that occurred was because one of the radar sites had a better view of it. And so the radar site in Wakefield, they kept the tornado warning going because they saw the rotation was a little bit more robust. Morehead City, meanwhile, was just a little farther away, not getting as good a sample of this cell. So they kind of let Wakefield handle that as it moved farther to the north and east and was exiting the Morehead City area of responsibility and moving into Wakefield's. So I think that's what happened there. I mean, it doesn't happen often that you have two offices doing warnings for the same cell, but it does happen. And this was one of those occurrences earlier this afternoon. So that's right on the line there, Bertie County and Plymouth area. Plymouth is in Morehead City area of responsibility. Meanwhile, Windsor is in Wakefield's. So that's interesting there. But most of this line here in this warned cell is deteriorating. You can see clear as day from the radar signature here earlier. You can see there it looked much more intense. It was bowing. And now it's kind of flattening out, becoming a little bit more ragged and dissipating. You can certainly see that over just the last 25 minutes. So I'm guessing this is going to be allowed to expire in 4 minutes at 9:30 when it was set to expire anyway. And then we'll just have to keep an eye on this area here that's coming over the same spot again. So we'll see if that gets warned later. We don't really have any, I don't see any couplets that are concerning there. Maybe one west of Edenton is a little bit of weak rotation, but even our one near Hertford now completely gone. You can see if we go back, it was there near Barber, and then now it's just completely washed out. So we'll watch this for 4 more minutes together, and then I'll conclude our stream and just continue to monitor radar tonight as we watch these things wind down. You know, initially, if you joined us earlier for the stream, I said, you know, I think that once the sun goes down, our threat will really drop, and it did for the rest of the area. Northeastern North Carolina, this is always a very tricky part of our area to forecast. It always seems to carry more of a threat of severe weather when we have the risk overall than everywhere else. You remember, what was it, 2 months ago probably, when in the middle of the night, when we had a tornado touch down just outside Elizabeth City at like 2 a.m., I think it was, and that was a cell that just came out of nowhere. The overall threat of severe weather had dropped. There was a tornado watch up west of there until 1 o'clock in the morning, and that was allowed to expire. There were no tornado warnings. And then 2 o'clock rolls around in the middle of the night, tornado warning for outside Elizabeth City, and that was a confirmed tornado. There was damage to that, and many people got damage to their homes. So it can happen, and most of the time it happens in northeastern North Carolina. And every now and then we'll get a cell that gets strong and drifts northeast into southern Virginia, and those are the ones that we have to always watch. Because when we have a severe threat that leads into the overnight, always bears watching just a little bit more. Even if watches come down, things could still always capitalize on one stray area of better dynamics in the atmosphere that's left over from the day's threat, and it takes advantage, it seeks it out, and it takes advantage of it. So got 2 more minutes on this warning. See there, 9:30, it does expire. We'll see if they skim it back and just like include Edenton, point south of there for that southern flank of this line. That could be a possibility. I don't see any conversation at all going on here in the chat of what they're thinking of doing. But to the north, if you're wondering, you're watching in Virginia and you're like, what is going on? We got no rain. We had a few little downpours here and there. You do. Right near Smithfield, just outside of Smithfield. Heavy downpour near Bartlett, a few near Oyster Point, up near Williamsburg, Gloucester, Matthews, a few downpours for you as well. But that's really been it. And then this cell here set to expire in 60 seconds. We'll watch this. And there it is. They've expired the severe thunderstorm warning. You'll see it disappear from the radar screen here once we hit 9:30. That line has significantly weakened, although the southern part of it definitely still, there it goes, definitely still has plenty of lightning associated with it and is definitely, hogging all the energy from the line down south near Edenton. So definitely a loud evening near Edenton tonight. Plenty of lightning and thunder just to your west, so right along 17 there, right outside. And that'll be moving generally in your direction here. If you look at the movement of it, it's pretty much been tracking just to your west. It eventually will slide east, but it may be a little while. All right, folks, so that's the latest on this storm. With it being expired, we will conclude our stream here tonight. In about 90 minutes, we will have, of course, 13 News Now at 11 on the TV side of things. If anything changes with that southern portion of this line, we'll pop on here, or if it, for some reason, is a tornado warning, we will, of course, go on air and on here. But until then, enjoy the rest of your night. I appreciate you joining us on our 13 News Now Plus streaming app. Tell your friends about it. It's a great way that we can kind of have a conversation. There's no time constraints, which is great. We can just talk the science here and walk through the forecast at a little slower pace. It's a little more digestible than just our allotted time that we have during the newscast. Oh, here, quickly, before I leave you, with the slow movement of this line, so here's something that was just issued. Flash flood warning, just including, it does include Edenton, but points west of there for Bertie and Chewan with the amount of rain that has come on down. Let's see how much rain. Boom, that's a lot of rain. 2.5, close to 3 inches of rain just over the last couple of hours, and it's still coming down. And this is after a couple more cells moved through there earlier today. So that's something to watch there. Again, a flash flood warning for southern Chewan and Bertie, really just far eastern portion of Bertie County. And these are usually for a longer duration. This is up for 3 hours, so until 12:45 tonight. So that's the latest, folks. We'll watch the southern tier of that storm, but everywhere else, we're looking at maybe a few showers coming on through and everything else dissipating as we go through the rest of the overnight. Have a great rest of your night.